Hello, my loves. It's time for the next chapter. This one is called Admonishments. Once a modicum of strength returned to him, Eragon staggered out of the alley, skirting the dead monsters. He did not get far before Kadak returned to his side. Good, you weren't hurt, mumbled Eragon. He noticed, without particularly caring, that his hands were shaking violently and his movements were jerky. He felt detached, as if everything he saw were happening to someone else. Eragon found Snowfire, nostrils flared and ears flat against his head, prancing by the corner of a house, ready to bolt. Brom was still slumped motionless in the saddle. Eragon reached out with his mind and soothed the horse. Once Snowfire relaxed, Eragon went to Brom. There was a long, blood-soaked cut on the old man's right arm. The wound bled profusely, but it was neither deep nor wide. Still, Eragon knew it had to be bound before Brom lost too much blood. He stroked Snowfire for a moment and then slid Brom out of the saddle. The weight proved too much for him, and Brom dropped heavily to the ground. Eragon was shocked by his own weakness. A scream of rage filled his head. Saphira dived out of the sky and landed fiercely in front of him, keeping her wings half raised. She hissed angrily, eyes burning. Her tail lashed, and Eragon winced as it snapped overhead. "Are you hurt?" she asked, rage boiling in her voice. "No," he assured her as he laid Brom on his back. She growled and exclaimed, "Where are the ones who did this? I will tear them apart." He wearily pointed in the direction of the alley. "It'll do no good. They're already dead." "You killed them?" Saphira sounded surprised. He nodded. "Somehow." With a few terse words, he told her what had happened while he searched his saddlebags for the rags in which Sirach had been wrapped. Saphira said gravely, "You have grown." Eragon grunted. He found a long rag and carefully rolled back Brom's sleeve. With a few deft strokes, he cleaned the cut and bandaged it tightly. "I wish we were still in Palancar Valley," he said to Saphira. "There at least I knew what plants were good for healing. Here I don't have any idea what will help him." He retrieved Brom's sword from the ground, wiped it, then returned it to the sheath on Brom's belt. "We should leave," said Saphira. "There may be more Urgles lurking about." "Can you carry Brom? Your saddle will hold him in place and you can protect him." "Yes, but I'm not leaving you alone." "Fine. Fly next to me, but let's get out of here." He tied the saddle onto Saphira, then put his arms around Brom and tried to lift him, but again his diminished strength failed him. "Saphira, help!" She snaked her head past him and caught the back of Brom's robe between her teeth. Arching her neck, she lifted the old man off the ground like a cat would a kitten and deposited him onto her back. Then Eragon slipped Brom's legs through the saddle straps and tightened them. He looked up when the old man shifted. Brom blinked blearily, putting a hand to his head. He gazed down at Eragon with concern. "Did Saphira get here in time?" Eragon shook his head. "I'll explain it later. Your arm is injured. I bandaged it as best as I could, but you need a safe place to rest." "Yes," said Brom, gingerly touching his arm. "Do you know where my sword—" "Oh, I see you found it." Eragon finished tightening the straps. "Saphira's going to take you and follow me by air." "Are you sure you want me to ride her?" asked Brom. "I can ride Snowfire. Not with that arm. This way, even if you faint, you won't fall off." Brom nodded. "I'm honored." He wrapped his good arm around Saphira's neck, and she took off in a flurry, springing high into the sky. Eragon backed away, buffeted by the eddies from her wings, and returned to the horses. He tied Snowfire behind Kadak, then left Yazawak, returning to the trail and following it southward. It led through a rocky area, veered left, and continued along the bank of the Nenor River. Ferns, mosses, and small bushes dotted the side of the path. It was refreshingly cool under the trees, but Eragon did not let the soothing air lull him into a sense of security. He stopped briefly to fill the water skins and let the horses drink. Glancing down, he saw the Razak's door. "At least we're going in the right direction." Saphira circled overhead, keeping a keen eye on him. It disturbed him that they had only seen 2 Urgles. The villagers had been killed and Yazawak ransacked by a large horde, yet where was it? Perhaps the ones we encountered were a rearguard or a trap left for anyone who was following the main force. His thoughts turned to how he had killed the Urgles. An idea, a revelation slowly wormed its way through his mind. He, Eragon, the farm boy of Palancar Valley, had used magic. Magic! It was the only word for what had happened. It seemed impossible, but he could not deny what he had seen. "Somehow I've become a sorcerer or a wizard, but he did not know how to use this new power again or what its limits and dangers might be. How can I have this ability? Was it common among the riders? And if Brom knew of it, why didn't he tell me?" He shook his head in wonder and bewilderment. He conversed with Saphira to check on Brom's condition and to share his thoughts. She was just as puzzled as he was about the magic. "Saphira, can you find us a place to stay? I can't see very far down here." While she searched, he continued along the Nenor. The summons reached him just as the light was fading. "Come." Saphira sent him an image of a secluded clearing in the trees by the river. Eragon turned the horses in the new direction and nudged them into a trot. With Saphira's help, it was easy to find, but it was so well hidden that he doubted anyone else would notice it. A small, smokeless fire was already burning when he entered the clearing. Brahm sat next to it, tending his arm, which he held at an awkward angle. Saphira was already crouched beside him, her body tense. She looked intently at Eragon and asked, "Are you sure you aren't hurt?" "Not on the inside, but I'm not sure about the rest of me. I should have been there sooner. Don't feel bad. We all made mistakes today. Mine was not staying closer to you." Her gratitude for that remark washed over him. He looked at Brahm. "How are you?" The old man glanced at his arm. "It's a large scratch and it hurts terribly, but it should heal quickly enough. I need a fresh bandage. This one didn't last as long as I'd hoped." They boiled water to wash Brahm's wound. Then Brahm tied a fresh rag to his arm and said, "I must eat, and you look hungry as well. Let's have dinner first and then talk." When their bellies were full and warm, Brahm lit his pipe. "Now I think it's time for you to tell me what had transpired while I was unconscious. I am most curious." His face reflected the flickering firelight, and his bushy eyebrows stuck out fiercely. Eragon nervously clasped his hands and told the story without embellishment. Brahm remained silent throughout it, his face inscrutable. When Eragon finished, he looked down at the ground. For a long time, the only sound was the snapping fire. Brahm finally stirred. "Have you used this power before?" "No. Do you know anything about it?" "A little." Brahm's face was thoughtful. "It seems I owe you a debt for saving my life. I hope I can return the favor someday. You should be proud. Few escape unscathed from slaying their first Urgle, but the manner in which you did it was very dangerous. You could have destroyed yourself and the whole town." "It wasn't as if I had a choice," said Eragon defensively. "The Urgles were almost upon me. If I had waited, they would have chopped me into pieces." Brahm stamped his teeth vigorously on the pipe stem. "You didn't have any idea what you were doing." "Then tell me," challenged Eragon. "I've been searching for answers to this mystery, but I can't make sense of it. What happened? How could I possibly have used magic? No one has ever instructed me in it or taught me spells." Brahm's eyes flashed. "This isn't something you should be taught, much less use." "Well, I have used it, and I may need it to fight again. But I won't be able to if you don't help me. What's wrong? Is there some secret I'm not supposed to learn until I'm old and wise? Or maybe you don't know anything about magic." "Boy," roared Brahm, "you demand answers with an insolence rarely seen. If you knew what you asked for, you would not be so quick to inquire. Do not try me." He paused, then relaxed into a kinder countenance. "The knowledge you ask for is more complex than you understand." Eragon rose hotly in protest. "I feel as though I've been thrust into a world with strange rules that no one will explain." "I understand," said Brahm. He fiddled with a piece of grass. "It's late and we should sleep, but I will tell you a few things now to stop your badgering. This magic, for it is magic, has rules like the rest of the world. If you break the rules, the penalty is death without exception. Your deeds are limited by your strength, the words you know, and your imagination." "What do you mean by words?" asked Eragon. "More questions," Brahm. "For a moment I hoped you were empty of them, but you are quite right in asking. When you shot the Urgles, didn't you say something?" "Yes. Brisingar." The fire flared, and a shiver ran through Eragon. Something about the word made him feel incredibly alive. "I thought so. Brisingar is from an ancient language that all living things used to speak. However, it was forgotten over time and went unspoken for eons in Algasia until the elves brought it back over the sea. They taught it to the other races who used it for making and doing powerful things. The language has a name for everything if you can find it." "But what does that have to do with magic?" interrupted Eragon. "Everything. It is the basis for all power. The language describes the true nature of things, not the superficial aspects that everyone sees. For example, fire is called Brisingar. Not only is that a name for fire, it is the name for fire. If you are strong enough, you can use Brisingar to direct fire to do whatever you will, and that is what happened today." Eragon thought about it for a moment. "Why was the fire blue? How come it did exactly what I wanted if all I said was fire?" "The color varies from person to person. It depends on who says the word. As to why the fire did what you wanted, that's a matter of practice. Most beginners have to spell out exactly what they want to happen. As they gain more experience, it isn't as necessary. A true master could just say water and create something totally unrelated like a gemstone. You wouldn't be able to understand how he had done it, but the master would have seen the connection between water and the gem, and it would have used that as the focal point for his power. The practice is more of an art than anything else. What you did was extremely difficult." Saphira interrupted Eragon's thoughts. "Brahm is a magician. That's how he was able to light the fire on the plains. He doesn't just know about magic, he can use it himself." Eragon's eyes widened. "You're right. Ask him about this power, but be careful what you say. It is unwise to trifle with those who have such abilities. If he is a wizard or a sorcerer, who knows what his motives might have been for settling in Carvajal." Eragon kept that in mind as he carefully said, "Saphira and I just realized something. You can use this magic, can't you? That's how you started the fire our first day on the plains. Brahm inclined his head slightly. I am proficient to some degree. Then why didn't you fight the Urgles with it? In fact, I can think of many times when it would have been useful. You could have shielded us from the storm and kept the dirt out of our eyes. After refilling his pipe, Brahm said, some simple reasons, really. I am not a rider, which means that even at your weakest moment you are stronger than I, and I have outlived my youth. I am not as strong as I used to be. Every time I reach for magic, it gets a little harder. Eragon dropped his eyes, abashed. I'm sorry. Don't be, said Brahm as he shifted his arm. It happens to everyone. Where did you learn to use magic? That is one fact I'll keep to myself. Suffice it to say, it was in a remote area and from a very good teacher. I can, at the very least, pass on his lessons. Brahm snuffed his pipe with a small rock. I know that you have more questions, and I will answer them, but they must wait until morning. He leaned forward, eyes gleaming. Until then, I will say this to discourage any experiments. Magic takes just as much energy as if you used your arms and back. That is why you felt tired after destroying the Urgles, and that is why I was angry. It was a dreadful risk on your part. If the magic had used more energy than was in your body, it would have killed you. You should only use magic for tasks that can't be accomplished the mundane way. How do you know if a spell will use all your energy? Asked Eragon, frightened. Brahm raised his hands. Most of the time you don't. That's why magicians have to know their limits well, and even then they are cautious. Once you commit to a task and release the magic, you can't pull it back, even if it's going to kill you. I mean this as a warning. Don't try anything until you've learned more. Now enough of this for tonight. As they spread out their blankets, Sophia commented with satisfaction. We are becoming more powerful, Eragon, both of us. Soon no one will be able to stand in our way. Yes. Which way shall we choose? Whichever one we want, she said smugly, settling down for the night. And that's the end of this one. Till the next time.